Hello, everybody. Welcome to Truthworthy. I'm Levi Pingleton, and tonight I'm going to be discussing Sedevacantism. And the reason why I'm wanting to discuss this controversial topic is because on Truthworthy's Facebook page, I keep on getting a whole lot of Sedevacantists that are commenting on my posts and usually trying to defend their position with like a one-liner from an old papal magisterial text. Um, Also, with just a whole lot of straw man arguments that they seem not willing to engage with the actual good sound arguments or not be aware of the good sound arguments from the Orthodox position against Sedevacantism. So I'm going to be going through that, and I want to thank the Generation Z YouTube, Generation Z Catholic YouTube channel, because their documentary that they put out is just magnificent. And basically, I got all the material that I needed to refute the Sedevacantists on my page from that documentary. And if you want further material and a whole lot more in-depth refutation of Sedevacantism, I really suggest going to my Facebook and clicking on that documentary that I share, because it's just excellent. Without further ado, I'll get into this. First, I want to define what manifest heresy is and what being a manifest heretic is defined as. To be a manifest heretic, one must be either notorious in law or notorious in fact. To be notorious in law, the church had or has to have had issued a declaration condemning an individual of heresy for them to be notorious in law as a manifest heretic. To be notorious in fact as a manifest heretic, a person must publicly hold to a heresy, which means publicly teach a heresy, in such a manner that no argument can be made for their innocence. In other words, they're pertinent, being obstinate in refusing to be corrected when correct doctrine is presented to them. Basically, a pope would literally have to leave the Catholic Church for another faith in order for a pope to be notorious in fact, to actually be a manifest heretic. Now that we kind of understand that a little bit, I want to explain Bellarmine's views on a pope being a heretic, because Sedevacantists like to use Bellarmine in order to seem to advocate for their position, and I'm going to clearly refute that right now. Bellarmine's views on a heretic, or on a pope being a heretic, his views, he has 5 of them, and the first view that he promotes here is that the Pope can never be a heretic. And Bellarmine says that this position is actually probable and that it's easily defended. The second view is the Pope loses his office ipso facto by divine law for the sin of occult heresy. Now, this is not defensible in Bellarmine's view, because just as God establishes the Pope through the cooperation of men, it is with the cooperation of men that his office is taken away. So occult heretics technically are inside the church. So Bellarmine says that this is basically an impossibility, because even if a pope were to be an occult heretic, he is not a manifest, pertinent heretic, and therefore is still inside the church and does not lose his office as far as his jurisdiction and his authority. The third view, the Pope can never be deposed for heresy. And the fourth view, the church must depose a heretical pope. Bellarmine disagreed with the fourth position, because if a pope were a manifest heretic, he would already cease to be a member of the church. A manifest heretic need not be need not be deposed, because he would already have placed himself outside of the church. either by pertinaciously denying a dogma of the faith and refusing correction on the matter, or by just formally leaving the church and joining another church communion. The fifth view, and this is Bellarmine's preferred view, is that the Pope loses his office ipso facto upon becoming a heretic. And this is the argument that a lot of sedevacantists will use in order to promote their position as being accurate. The only problem is that they are completely misunderstanding Bellarmine, and they are completely misusing his views and misunderstanding his views as being in defense of their arguments for sedevacantism, when really Bellarmine is going to destroy their arguments, and I'm going to explain why. Sedevacantists think that they agree with Bellarmine and that they hold this fifth position as well. But this, in reality, is completely false. They actually believe in the second position, the erroneous position according to Bellarmine, and I'm going to explain why. The second position was, and this is the untenable position according to Bellarmine, and this is the actual position that sedevacantists hold, is that the Pope loses his office ipso facto by divine law for the sin of occult heresy. The Sedes claim that they do not hold this view because they say that all the popes after Vatican II have lost the office due to manifest, not occult heresy. But not every public heretical statement constitutes manifest heresy. To be a manifest heretic, one must either be condemned by the church itself, which is being notoriously a heretic in law, or publicly adhere to a heresy, which is being notorious in fact. And the bar for being notorious in fact is actually very, very high. It's a very high bar. For example, take two men, Tom and Bob. They're both asked the question, does Jesus have one will or two wills? Tom says that Jesus has one will, but he's only saying this because he is misguided in his understanding of the faith. When he is corrected and given the correct position that Jesus Christ has two wills, a divine and a human will, he responds, I'll have to check into that myself. This clearly distinguishes Tom from being a notorious heretic in fact, because he cannot be a notorious heretic in fact because he does not intend to go against a dogma on purpose, and he's not obstinately refusing to accept a dogma of the Catholic Church when he's corrected. He actually states that he's willing to check into it himself, and under that assumption, it's probable that he would accept the Catholic truth presented to him and be corrected on this matter. The second guy, Bob, is asked the same question, does Jesus have one or two wills? Bob says Jesus has one will and does so knowing the correct teaching on the matter. But pertinaciously and obstinately, he continues to proclaim his error, and when he's presented with the church's teaching in response that Jesus has two wills, he says, I don't care what the church teaching is. I don't believe it. So basically, this is an example of being a notorious heretic in fact. Bob is being a notorious heretic in fact. Why Tom is not a manifest heretic is because his error is not intentional, and if he was taught correctly, he would be willing to accept the Catholic view. Bob is a manifest heretic due to his obstinate and persistent denial of the faith, even when presented with correct doctrine that contradicts his view. Pertinacity is the key component to being a manifest heretic, or at least one of the key components to a person being declared and judged a manifest heretic. Without one clearly acting as Bob did in the example, or actually leaving the church and becoming a member of another church, it is extremely difficult to incur the judgment of being a manifest heretic. None of the popes after Vatican II have done either of these things that would give cause to judge them as manifest heretics. In fact, they have not denied a dogma pertinaciously, nor have they left the Catholic Church formally to join another sect. Nor have they been judged by the Church as manifest heretics. Therefore, if any pope after Vatican II is a heretic, he is so occultly and not manifestly, meaning that they were still inside the church. To be an occult heretic is still not a good thing, but it does not cause one to place himself ipso facto outside of the church. Therefore, this proves that sedevacantists actually hold the second view, that the Pope would lose his office ipso facto for occult heresy. Sorry. My daughter's in here with me, sorry. Hang on just a second. Therefore, sedevacantists hold the second view, that the Pope loses his office ipso facto for occult heresy, which Bellarmino clearly rejects, and sedevacantists claim to reject, but actually hold to. To deny a dogma openly with pertinacity, or to formally leave the church, joining a false religion, is what would actually have incurred or caused a pope to be judged as a manifest heretic. A pope can only become a notorious heretic in law by a discretionary judgment, as in the case of Honorius and a couple of others. For jurisdiction is certainly given to the Roman pontiff by God, but with the agreement of men, as is obvious, because this man, who beforehand was not pope, has from men that he would begin to be pope. Therefore, he is not removed by God unless it is through men. And the fact that these post-conciliar popes have not been condemned or judged as manifest heretics by the church, then coercively they wouldn't be able to be judged by the church, but discretionally they could be judged by the church. And since they haven't, then all of the popes since Vatican II are legitimate popes, true popes who were accepted with unanimous consent by all of the bishops of the world, and the sedevacantist argument falls completely apart. Bellarmino goes on to say, moreover, it is certain, whatever one or another may think, that an occult heretic, if he be a bishop or even a supreme pontiff, does not lose jurisdiction, dignity, or title as head of the church, until either he publicly separates himself from the church or is convicted of heresy and separated against his will. And that's directly from Bellarmino himself. A true pope can be discretionally judged by the church, not as a coercive act of jurisdiction over the pope, as I said just a minute ago, but the church would simply judge that the canonical crime of heresy has occurred. And in that situation, after that, clearly the Pope, most likely would abdicate his office, leave his office, or willfully resign from his office, and a new Pope would be elected. Is what I would assume. Most sedevacantists believe all the popes after Vatican II were never true popes in the first place, and this is key. Most sedes believe all the popes after Vatican II were never true popes in the first place. That makes everything that Bellarmino has said on this topic completely irrelevant if we're talking about popes who were never true popes anyways. So long as a bishop is tolerated in his diocese, hasn't been declared and judged a manifest heretic by the church itself, hasn't been deposed by the Pope himself, even a just regular bishop, he cannot lose office by simply being an occult heretic. What's clear from this presentation, number one, is that Sedevacantists' arguments fall flat on their face, especially when they're trying to use St. Robert Bellarmino as a source to defend their arguments. And also, their arguments fall flat on their face once we actually realize how to properly use and distinguish between the terms of material heresy, formal heresy, and the different terms that we use when we are talking about different levels of heresy. Whether it be occult or manifest, whether one be pertinacious or obstinate in their refusal to receive correction. All of these factors can greatly prove without a shadow of a doubt that Sedevacantists are greatly mistaken in that their language and vocabulary that they're using it in a very fallacious way and in a manipulative way. And even if they're unaware of that, they've been trained and brainwashed into thinking this way, and it's very dangerous because it's so obviously false. So thanks for joining me tonight at Truthworthy, and I hope that this helped someone out there who's struggled and is looking into Sedevacantism and thinks that they have really solid arguments, and I hope that they see that those arguments are not solid, that they're not good, and that they're not strong. So, and even their own saints that they try to use in order to promote their false views of the church and church teaching, even they disagree with them, and they're not using these sources in proper ways. So God bless you all. I know as a person who had looked into Sedevacantism, and I was nearly drawn in because they use a lot of tactics that are overwhelming and bombarding you with these quotes and different claims that they make that are, supposed to show that all these contradictions in magisterial teaching since Vatican II. And unfortunately for them, if you're actually trained and researched in these topics, you'll quickly understand and know that their arguments fall flat on their face. So God bless you guys and have a good night. Thank you. This is Truthworthy. Peace.